What is up, my beautiful Recovered on Purpose family? I'm super excited you're here for this week's episode of Weekend Recap right here on the Recovered on Purpose show. Today, we're going to be talking about the stresses and the top 3 that are taking people out from recovery into relapse. And then we're going to talk about overcoming that stress so that we can stay recovered. Love you guys so much. Enjoy the show and keep living Recovered on Purpose.
The black represents the darkness from which we came. The white represents the light in which we now live. And the red represents the passion it takes to live recovered on purpose.
What is up, my beautiful people, my beautiful Recovered on Purpose family? I love you all so much. I'm super excited about this episode. This week, I've been working a lot and doing a lot of different research and things for some of the things going on here at Recovered on Purpose and for another book that I'm doing. So I've got a lot of things to talk about when it comes to what's causing us to relapse. I've got the top 3 stresses that are actually showing up in our lives. And these are all based on science. And then we're going to talk about the ways that we can overcome stress, the ways that we can, cope with it in a meaningful and a healthy way. Because for a long time in our addiction, we were constantly, managing stress with our drugs or with our alcohol, whatever it was that we were using. And we learned some bad habits in our addiction. I don't know if you knew that, but I learned some bad habits in my addiction that I've had to overcome and try some new habits and then find the ones that work for me. So tonight we're going to be talking about staying recovered and handling the top 3 stresses that come up in recovery. Let me know where you are coming in from and let me know your clean and sober days because it's weekend recap. So we are celebrating recovery time. Want to say what's up to Kelly, and we got 4 more days until she's got 5 months. Let's go, Kelly. Welcome. It's good to see you. Welcome. Love you. Good to see you. We got the party lights for the celebration time. Let's go. And Wes coming in. I think he's coming in from Colorado Springs right now. Let's go. We got 6 months next Tuesday. Congratulations, brother. Super happy for you. Super proud of you. And I'm super excited that you're in the course right now. Love your story. I love working with you and super excited to see where this goes, man. You've got 6 more months until, you hit that year mark, that mark that is, the thing that all of the studies are done on. We have to make it to that year mark because after that year mark, we have so much more likelihood of staying recovered. That year mark marks the long-term recovery, and it means that we actually have the foundation. We actually have the power to stay in recovery. We've learned how to stay abstinent from drugs, and now in the second year, it's all about building that life and building that foundational, dream that we have and those visions and the habits that we have for our life that we want to do. So super proud of you, excited that you're here. And excited to be in the course with you, brother. Going back to red because we got some more celebrations. Come on, let's go to red. What's up, Mike Ward? Good to see you, brother. Family, God bless. I'm watching from Thunder Bay, Ontario, Canada. Good to see you. We've got at least 3 countries in the house. We got Canada, we got Colombia, we got the US, we got Louisiana. Kelly coming in from Louisiana. Opal, what's up? Good to see you, Opal. Man, Opal's like an OG. One of the ones that's been here for a while and been on the show, been on posts and everything for a while. And guys, that's what this is about. It's about a recovery community that is constantly using our methods to reach the people that are out there suffering and bring them into the recovery community. Each and every person that is part of this family, that's part of the Recovered on Purpose family, has their own journey, their own method of finding recovery. I've talked to people that found recovery literally by podcasts and listening to the Recovered on Purpose show and following Facebook pages and getting involved in social media groups. Then obviously I've met a bunch of people that have found recovery through 12-step fellowships and doing the 12 steps. Then I've also met people that literally found recovery just by going to meetings and have never done the steps. So the point is that each of us has a valuable asset to bring to people that are out there suffering. Each and every one of us. And as you continue showing up to this community, you're bringing your story in here. You're bringing your recovery in here. You're showing the people that follow this page that recovery is possible and how you did it. And guys, it's what it's all about. I love you all so much. I don't know if you guys get that from all the things that I do and talk about on this show, but this is real life. You can ask Wes. Wes knows him real well. I love you guys very, very much. Shared, good job, Mike. Love you, brother. Thank you. Awesome, Opal. Oregon. Let's go. In the house, coming from Oregon. What's up, Vanessa? Good to see you. Let's go. Let's go. Okay, so the first part of this, and I'm going to turn the celebration lights on just for everyone, and I kind of like how they look back there. I like the colorful stuff. It reminds me of some other times in my life where I was raving and stuff. I don't know if anybody out there was ever a raver, but that was me. I had some raving times. So the first half of this show, we're going to talk about the stresses, the top 3 stresses, and how they show up in our life, kind of what they mean, what they look like. And if any of these are showing up in your life, make sure that you're sticking around to talk about the actual overcoming of them, the habits that we can create, and the ways that we can stay in recovery and get past the stresses of life. Because I guess studies actually show that 72% of Americans say that they have stress, say they have some kind of stress in their life right now, and that's a huge percentage. So us thinking in recovery, the addiction and recovery community, us thinking that we're the only ones going through these kinds of feelings and we're the only ones that are going through this kind of stress and that kind of stuff, it's just not true. It's just in our addiction and in our life before recovery, we found a different type of coping mechanism that most people don't resort to. Most people don't resort to shooting up heroin to not feel sad about a breakup. Most people don't resort to, spending their last dollars on crack cocaine because of financial stress. We figured out those coping skills, and in our recovery, we have to, be part of society again. Stress comes up, but we have to learn the same type of coping skills that other people are using, the same type of coping skills that are making other people able to handle this stress that they're going through on a regular basis. So we're not different than humans. We're not different than people just because we're addicts. We're not lower class. We're not unable to accomplish things. We're not unable to handle stress. We're the same as everybody else with a past where we learned a different solution. And now in our recovery, we have to learn the same solutions that other people are using. Plus, we have a lot of other solutions that people don't get to practice. Not everybody gets to experience a time in life where their only option was to connect with God. A lot of people don't understand what that means. And we're going to talk about that. Okay. So stress is the number 1 cause of relapse. This is based on studies. This is, this is a fact that stress is the number 1 thing that causes us to decide to actually go use. It's the number 1 thing. There's a lot of things that there's 3 stages of relapse. There's mental relapse or emotional relapse, mental relapse, physical relapse. Emotional relapse when we start, feeling sad, feeling depressed, feeling those kinds of things that, none of us want to feel. The mental relapse is when we actually start thinking about picking up drugs. When we actually start thinking about, oh, it would be nice to go shoot up some heroin right now. Oh, it would be nice. How am I going to hide this from people? How am I going to make it work this time? That's a mental relapse. Then a physical relapse when we actually go pick up. So stress is the number 1 cause that brings us into those 3 phases of relapse. And when we recognize the first step is recognition and awareness of the stress. And what that is recognizing that emotional relapse stage, right? When we start feeling depressed, when we start feeling like we need to isolate, when we stop talking or answering our calls or texting people back, things like that, we have to recognize when these stresses are coming up and then become aware of where they're coming from. Okay. And there's the top 3 causes of stress. These are, and guys, let me know if you are feeling these yourself or if you have experienced this in your recovery, especially early recovery, and let us know how you overcame it for anyone out there that's in early recovery that needs to overcome this type of stress themselves right now. And I know that there's a whole bunch of other life events. There's a whole lot of other things that can cause stress, but these are the top 3, the most common occurring that happen to us that take us out into the 3 stages of relapse. Number 1 is poor, or number 3 is poor health. This is the third most common stress causer that brings us into the 3 stages of relapse. And poor health, this includes mental health and it includes physical health. But the interesting thing that I've found in reading books and studying and stuff is that the 2 are 100% related. They're 100% connected between physical and mental health. And what a lot of us don't realize is that when we're not getting up and moving, when we're not doing some kind of activity that gets our heart rate up and things like that, and then we start feeling depressed and stuff, you know, one can start the other, and it's the chicken or the egg thing. Is my depression causing me to not be able to get up and go exercise? Or is me not getting up and going and exercising causing me to get depressed? And it doesn't really matter which one of those is the case if you're sitting in a depressive state and you're not exercising, because there's only really, one thing you can do, and it's take action. And we'll talk about the action steps in the second half of this. But poor health, if you are experiencing this, right, this is something that early on in my recovery I started focusing on, like really early on in my first 30 days. I think on day 38, I actually got up and decided that I'm going to go see how fast I can run a mile, because I had quit smoking 8 days before that on day 30, and I had a pack a day habit for years. And then I wanted to like test God out. Like, God, what does it mean to be in recovery? Like, I want to see what I can do. And I went and hopped on a treadmill and I ran a mile in 7 minutes and 18 seconds, just because I had that focus that I'm not going to let how I'm feeling tell me what I can actually do. Right. I'm going to do this. I'm going to finish the mile at this pace. And I was able to do it in 7 minutes and 18 seconds. But from there, I decided that's my baseline. And what I did was, when I ran that thing, I did it at 100%. I did exactly how much I could possibly do. As soon as I finished that mile, I almost fell over off the treadmill. But during the pandemic, uh, or 6 months before the pandemic, I wrote a goal on my whiteboard that I'm going to beat the 6-minute mile within 6 months. And I had the date there. And during the pandemic, that 6 months came up, and I went outside and I ran as fast as I could. And I had this tracker of how far I was running. And I ran a mile in 5 minutes and 57 seconds. Now, in order for me to go from that 7 minutes and 18 to that 5 minutes and 57, there was a lot of different work that had to happen in the interim. There was a lot of different work. There was a lot of exercise I had to do, a lot of focus. And what I found is that, we can focus on bettering ourselves. We can just have a mindset that we are going to continue to progress in our life in recovery, and not just in our recovery program. If we are working the 12 steps, having a successful recovery program doesn't just mean going to a meeting every day, looking for people to sponsor, and calling your sponsor every day. That's not what it means. That's solid. But imagine if somebody that continues to relapse and continues to relapse and continues to relapse keeps coming in, and they keep seeing you in the rooms, right? They see you in the rooms for a year, coming in every once in a while, they keep relapsing. And over that year, you go from, someone who looks unhealthy because you're in early recovery, you haven't taken care of your body for a while, but over that year, you take really good care of yourself. Your body changes, your glow changes, your skin changes because of the way that you're taking care of your health. And when that person is walking in and continues seeing you, they're going to be like, dude, recovery isn't just about quitting drugs. This person is bettering themselves in all these different areas, and we can talk about the fact that probably in a couple years, you're going to get a new car, you're going to have a new job to talk about. You're going to, maybe even get a puppy, and these different things that will attract people into recovery. And that's kind of the point. We have to live an attractive life in recovery, because even the 12-step fellowships, it talks about being a program of attraction rather than promotion. We're not out here saying, go to an NA meeting publicly, go to an AA meeting, and telling them, get in here. No, we act in a way that makes people that are suffering ask us how we did it. And then we invite them to where we're going. And we invite them into our program or our fellowship, or we tell them our story of how we recovered. And all of that goes into mental health, physical health, everything. Okay. So poor health, mental and physical, is number 3 on the list of the most common stress that brings us into relapse. Number 2 is employment and work, basically job stress. Stress caused by, maybe you really don't like your job. or maybe you are, you have this other vision for your life. You just like, you're supposed to do something else, but you're just staying here for the comfort. You're just staying here because you know how much money you make. You're sticking here for the 40 hours a week and you're doing your thing. But there's a lot of different stresses that can come from work, and becoming aware of if that stress is coming up in work, we've got to talk about how to overcome that, right? We've got to talk about the awareness part of it, because if you have a job and the stress is coming from the fact that you don't know when you're going to lose your job. Maybe, it's just a place where they're laying people off. Maybe the company isn't growing and expanding like they were planning on. So you're worried about being laid off, or, that's a huge stress, not knowing the future. There's also stress with, like, maybe you have a crappy boss. Maybe there's a boss that's just not cool to work for, and that causes you stress. You don't want to go to a workplace where somebody is treating you poorly. And then, there's always the unemployed, the stress of not having work, the stress of waking up and not necessarily having that schedule of going to work and knowing where your income's coming from, knowing how your basic needs are going to be met with the income that you make from a job. So when you have something showing up where that the stress is being caused by your work environment, you got to become aware of what part of your work environment is causing it, because that's where we're going to be able to start making the change. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself into the second part of this. But basically, employment and work is the number 2 most common stress causer that takes us out to relapse. Okay. Number 1, can anybody guess? I'm going to hop in the comments right now, and I want y'all to guess what the number 1 stressor that takes us out into relapse is. What's up, Jessica? Good to see you. Oh, I'm not going to, I'll put it up here. All right. You already guessed number 1. Financial stress is a daily problem for me, but my recovery keeps me positive. I will get past this. Amen. And guys, all of us, I think it's the number's like 90%, right? 50% of addicts in early recovery can't meet their basic financial needs. Basic food, shelter, clothing, their basic needs, right? And if 50% of us aren't able to take care of that necessity, and financial stress is the number 1 cause of relapse, it's the number 1 cause that makes us decide to go relapse, then we as a community have to rally around how we're going to change this specifically, right? And I was going to wait until someone actually guessed it, but God, amen. I tell on myself by talking to my sponsor or someone I trust. Amen. 100%. And I think it's, there's a lot of ways to find the people that you trust also. And I'm touching on this, Roger, because there's people on here that might not have that relationship with someone, right? Because you can have a sponsor that you trust. You have a sponsor that you talk to regularly about certain things. But sometimes you might have something that you need to talk with someone that isn't going to tell you, step work, just step work, and finding someone that you trust means that they are bearing the fruit in their life that you aspire towards. That can be emotional fruit, mental fruit. It can mean financial fruit, business fruit, relationships. And what I mean by that is the person in their life, if you are struggling with something, let's say financially, and you want to learn, how to, take care of your finances, how to grow your finances, how to build your credit and things like that. You want to go to somebody that has financial success in their life, that has the credit history, or the stuff that is showing that they have figured that part of life out. That's the fruit that they're bearing in their life, not someone that just will tell you whatever they have heard before about fixing your situation, and then when you look at their life, they're still broke also. They're hitching rides or whatever it is, and that's not talking down on that person. It's just saying you don't want to listen to advice, and someone that you trust means someone that when they give you advice in the situation, they're not going to give you bad advice. And number two, they're not going to exploit that information on you. Like they're not going to use it to, talk down to you, or they're not going to tell other people around the community about that thing that you came to them to. So finding that person that you can trust outside of sponsorship is super, super beneficial also. Super, super beneficial. My physical health started falling in early recovery. I hear you, Opal. I hear you. And there's, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it in part 2. I have physical issues that limit mobility, and the pain caused me to relapse on top of trauma. I hear you, Kelly. I hear you. And that's also, when we're talking about trauma, okay, that just kind of incorporates into everything. And if it's trauma from the past, then we're talking about mental health. If it's trauma that occurs again, like if in your recovery, you're in a relationship where your husband or your boyfriend or somebody is hitting you, or, things like that can cause relapse, but if it's trauma from the past causing you to relapse, that goes into poor mental health. That means that we have to, work with either sponsor, therapist, a trusted friend, someone that you can really dive into that trauma with to overcome it. Because for me, and I don't know about you guys, but for me, I am not allowing my past to dictate my actions today anymore. I do not allow that, especially if it's because of something someone else did to me. If I was traumatized by somebody, which I have trauma in my life that somebody else inflicted on me. If I hold on to that and allow that thing to cause me to relapse or cause me to not become the person I want to be, I'm giving that person power from the past in my present and in the future until I cut that out. Until I make the decision that this is no longer in control of me. And that takes work. It takes understanding. It takes somebody to talk to that knows what they're doing, and make sure that you're doing it with someone you trust. But trauma work is extremely, extremely important, and it goes into mental health. Amen. Trauma. Yep. I get it. Amen. I lost a lot of muscle and weight during active addiction. Dude, me too. I was at the end of my addiction, I was 148 pounds. Right now, I'm just over 210. I'm like 212 right now. And I'm, I've got like 12, 13, 14% body fat. So I can feel my tummy coming out, my abs. But, so in recovery, when we set goals, and we're going to talk about this in part 2, I just keep getting ahead of myself, but we have work to do. The damage that we cause to ourselves, to our lives, to our body, to our friendships, to our family in our addiction, it's all redeemable. Every single thing that we did in our addiction is redeemable. It's forgivable. We're able to amend what we did in our addiction with every single process that we have available to us, right? Every single process that everybody else has available to them, we have available to us now in our recovery. Whether that's an exercise and diet plan, or if it's a financial plan, or getting a job, working on the career that we want, that we lost in our active addiction. Anything that we lost in our addiction is redeemable. And not only is it redeemable, but I take it straight from the Bible, and I believe God is preparing us in addiction. We're like in our 40-year desert. We're in that wasteland that is preparing us and molding us and doing all this stuff that takes everything from us and is really hard. But then when we get to the promised land of recovery, God restores everything we lost times 2, just like Job. And I actually hear that we get it 7 times 7. That's what I hear, right? When we work for it, when we get the daily habits going, and when we have a focused goal for our physical health, for our mental health, for our financial health, all of these different things, and we work towards them on a daily basis, no longer telling ourselves that we have to get these things right now. We're used to sticking a needle in our arm and getting the results right now. But when we train our brain that the reward of a 30-day goal is way better than a needle. The reward of a 90-day goal is way better than a needle. And the reward of a 1-year goal that we actually achieve, that we say we're going to do, we set out to do it and we do it, that reward is way better to wait for than shooting up dope for a year. And I can attest to that, and I can tell you 100% that it's true. It's both mental and physical. That's what I worked on in rehab. Amen. Yes. Somatic therapy helps a lot. I don't know what somatic therapy is, but looks like I'm going to be looking that up. All right. And again, number one cause of stress that takes us out is money and financial stress. 50% of addicts in early recovery can't cover their basic needs. And with that being the case, 50%, that's a huge number. And if that's the case, and if you're dealing with this right now, there's work to do. Money is not your enemy. There's nothing wrong with finances. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing telling you you can't grow in your career right now. There's nothing making you unemployable. When we stand up and face these things and we tell ourselves that we're not letting stress take us out, and then we go into the subsections. I am not letting my financial health take me out, so I'm going to work on my financial health because it causes so much stress that I need to work on this. I'm not going to allow my job and work environment to take me out with the stress it causes, so I'm going to figure out that situation. I'm going to find a different job, a new job, or one that fulfills me. And I'm not going to let my poor mental and physical health take me out because I have the tools and I have the knowledge to start today on a path and a plan that takes me towards good health in my body and my mind. And that's what we're going to talk about in part 2. I will be right back. I'm going to hop in these comments real quick. What's up, Kelly? Good to see you. Selling drugs doesn't help in recovery. I'm sadly to say, but that's all I'm good at for the time being. Still looking for a job. Seems like I broke too many bridges to have anybody want to hire me. Bro, I am a two-time felon. And I'm employable. 100% employable. Having a mindset saying that, we are not good enough for a job, or people don't think we're good enough for a job, then that's a mindset we got to change, especially if it's causing us in recovery to continue causing damage to the community that I love. There comes a time when, it's not okay. It's okay to be in recovery. It's good to be in recovery, but it's not okay. Somatic therapy is mind to body therapy. Trauma and stress can manifest in our bodies, working on the mind to heal the body. Amen. Love it. 100%. Amen. Guys, we're going to be right back. I have a super cool announcement. Some of you have heard it, maybe not, but it's very, very close to being finished. I'll be right back.
What's up, family? I have an exciting announcement for you. This year, we'll be doing monthly launches of our courses that will bring you into weekly coaching with me and weekly one-on coaching with a certified Recovered on Purpose coach to train you exactly how to get your story out to more people and help addicts get clean. And guess what? We will have 100% scholarships available for those that are in need of financial support. At the end of the first 30-day course, you'll be upgraded to weekly group coaching with myself and other coaches and given the opportunity to get certified to be a Recovered on Purpose coach as well. There will be all kinds of perks to being in the community, and after 90 days, you will be eligible to work with Recovered on Purpose, sharing your story in your local community and being paid hourly plus daily bonuses. Imagine having a part-time job in your recovery where your job is sharing your recovery story in the community movement we have at Recovered on Purpose with the public. Decked out in fresh Recovered on Purpose gear and out there helping your community with your story. None of this is possible without all of you helping spread the message and our donors and sponsors supporting this mission. I want to thank all our bronze, silver, and gold donors with a special thank you to our platinum level sponsor, the King's Brotherhood, where the most elite businessmen come to grow and ascend to the next level in their business. If you're interested in giving to this cause or becoming a sponsor of this cause, visit recoveredonpurpose.com/donation. Enjoy the rest of the show and keep living Recovered on Purpose.
Amen. Amen. Super excited about everything going on. The people in the course know, like, I'm sitting right here for 12, 14 hours a day, working on a whole bunch of things and partnerships and things like that. I can't wait to announce when they actually happen. And it looks like it could happen this month, where I will have some very big names to show you guys are backing the recovery community to do this cause. And the whole vision is that everybody in recovery will have access to the personal development to go out, become leaders, and help addicts that are suffering. Not just with, not just with waiting in the 12-step fellowships. And I'm a huge proponent. I love my 12-step fellowships. But us sitting in there waiting for addicts to come in to possibly sponsor is outdated, extremely outdated. And it's not reaching them. A huge percentage of them will never walk into a 12-step fellowship. And of the ones that do, 7% of people that walk into a fellowship end up finding recovery there. So there's a lot of different ways that we can do it. And that's what we're working on. And I'm making it, we got approved as 501c3 at the end of last year. So I'm able to actually, talk to partners about helping us to do this in a way where I don't have to charge people to do it. So everybody in recovery will have access. Okay. So let's go over to overcoming stress in all three categories. And guys, if you have overcome any of these stresses in your life, make sure that you're dropping in the comments ways that you have done it. Just like Jessica was dropping in, I got to look for it, what it was called, somatic therapy. These kinds of things, I hadn't even heard of that. I'd never even heard of this. So if you are overcoming these stresses and things in your recovery, and especially if you're in long-term recovery and you've gotten past these things and you've built habits or something that is really getting you through these stressful times, help the community and drop it in there how you do it. And I'm going to pull it up also. So overcoming these stressors. Number one is awareness and goals. They found that a huge reason that we get stressed, a huge reason why people get stressed in their life, is that they feel out of control of whatever area of their life that they're stressed in. What does that look like? Let's say for financial stress, okay? You're in early recovery, you have a whole bunch of debt and your credit is shot, and you don't have a job that's paying you enough to fit your basic needs, right? And instead of, looking at the credit, looking at the debt, looking at the job you have, and putting together a financial plan, we will oftentimes just put it out of our mind. We'll just say, I'll never be able to fix it. There's too much damage there. And we'll start thinking that way. And what we have to do in order to start conquering and overcoming the stress in that area is become aware of where we are right now. Key. Now, what does that look like? That looks like, for financial stress, we got to look at our credit. We got to look at, who we owe. We got to look at, the debts that we have out there that are coming after us, that kind of stuff. We have to look at our monthly expenses. Where is our money going? How much is our rent? How much is the place that we want to rent? How much is the place that we're living in sober living? How much are we spending on food? How much are we spending on our phone? All of the bills, every single dollar that goes out during the month, we need to write it down so that we understand how much we are spending per month. Okay. So we understand our credit, understand how much we're spending per month. And then we need to look at how much we're making per month. What job do we have right now in this moment? How much are we getting paid per month? And we become aware of where we are right now in our life. That doesn't mean that we're doing it to beat ourselves up about the past. I had like 45 grand of debt and a 421 credit score when I came into recovery. 45 grand. And I never even did student loans because of the way that I shot, myself in the foot with my credit, and I was taking out loans and things and, doing all that kind of stuff in order to get dope. And, what I had to do was become aware of where I was. And then once you become aware of where you are, and this can be your body, your physical health, your mental health, your work, everything. Write down where you're at. You can write down your weight. You can write down, your eating habits. Write down what you eat every day, what your actual habits are. Become aware of how you are being right now in this moment. And then comes in the goals. Okay. You have to become aware of where you're at. And then you have a goal of where you want to be 30 days from now, 90 days from now, a year from now, and you write that down. You become clear on your destination. And a lot of you have heard this, but you've heard me say this before, but it's like a GPS. It's like your maps in your phone, right? If you're going to look for a place to go, you're going to put the address in, but in order to get there, right? Maps has to know where you are right now to give you the route to get there. So become aware of where you're at so that you can make a goal and then make a plan on how you're going to get there. And if you don't know how to make that plan, that's where you start researching. You start looking on YouTube even, or you come to me for advice, or you come to someone you trust or a sponsor or somebody and say, hey, this is where I'm at right now. I'm overweight and unhealthy and I don't feel good. And what I want to do is I want to lose 20 pounds over the next year. I want to feel better. And I want to be able to run a mile in 10 minutes, whatever the goal is that you have. And when you come to somebody that knows how to get that goal, you come to somebody that's healthy, you come to someone that literally can run a mile in 10 minutes for sure. Their body is healthy, and you come to them and you ask them, how to do that. Then they're going to give you, they're like your GPS. You tell them where you're at, you tell them the goal, ask them how to get there, and they'll give you the directions. Just go to somebody that you trust and someone that bears the fruit of that area of life that shows that they actually know the direction to get there. Hopping back in the comments. Transforming cognitive thinking to something healthy. Amen. 100%. And that's part of this as well. And we're going to get into that. There's, but part of the cognitive thinking and transforming that, we have to be aware of what's going on up there. If we're telling ourselves that, I'm fat, I'm unhealthy, I can't exercise because I don't feel good and things like that, and we're constantly telling ourselves that, we have to become aware of why our mind is thinking that. Where is our body at that our mind would be telling us that? And we become aware of it, and then we can change the thought process to, okay, I'm in control of this, because you 100% are. You are in control of where you go from here with every one of those three things that we talked about: your financial future, your work future, and your mental and physical health future. You are 100% in control. And when we become aware, we're going to be able to make that path. But in that journey of becoming aware, making the goal, and then creating the path, our mind will automatically change. Our cognitive thinking about that will automatically change, because we will know that there is a clear path in my control to make this happen. But if we just ignore our health, ignore our finances, and ignore our work, and we don't ever try to better it, we will consistently feel stressed. We will consistently, feel unfulfilled. And that will cause relapse more than anything else. The number one cause of relapse is stress. It's stress. So we got to get over it. I know what that's like. Amen. Working with a recovery coach, get a sponsor. Sponsors, go to meetings, therapists, working on finances, fiancés too. Working on fiancés works too, because I'm getting up there, and your boy wants a family, and your boy has no prospects. So put together a whiteboard of goals, short-term, long-term, budgeting with a professional, people, places, and things, church, prayer, a lot of writing, music, asking for help whenever I was struggling. Amen, Jessica. Exactly. All that stuff is good. How do I get a sponsor or recovery coach? I'm going to let Jessica answer this. That's where I'm at. All right. So how do I get a sponsor or recovery coach? Kaylee, message me and I'll give you some advice in my messenger, depending on the fellowship that you're involved in. Okay. If you're involved in, let's say, AA or NA or CA or CMA or HA or something like that, one of the 12-step fellowships, number one is you got to go to meetings. To find a sponsor, you have to go to meetings. Number two, when a woman, because you're a girl, when a woman is talking in a way that exhibits, health in all areas of life, recovery health, a strong program, and as she's speaking, she has, some years behind her of recovery, and she has these things in her life that she wants, or that you want. Then after the meeting, you walk up to her and you say, "Hey, my name's Kaylee, and I really need a sponsor. Are you sponsoring right now?" And then you have a conversation. That is the way that you get a sponsor in the fellowships. And here's the thing, and I want to encourage you, if you're going to do it in a fellowship, which, is a great place, and the only place to get a sponsor. But if you're going to do it, the way that it works is super, super cool. You coming up to somebody and asking them to sponsor you is actually helping them. So you are not a burden on somebody that you ask to sponsor you. You're not giving them some kind of task, that they have to do. Like, we love sponsoring people. People with long-term recovery that are involved in the fellowships love to sponsor and help people. And they love it when you come up to them and ask them specifically, because that means we're doing something right. That means that, we're attracting somebody to show them that, our recovery is working. And long-term recovery 100% is dependent on helping people, period. So you asking them is helping them with their recovery also. That's where I'm at. I do have physical injuries and health issues I'm working on. I'm getting help with this to help lose weight with my current health issues, with barriers, healthier eating, and exercises that work for my body. Water physical therapy helps me, may help others. Yeah, water, I haven't done it myself because it wasn't part of my health journey, but I know a lot of people that have used those water classes and things that are really good. I don't really like swimming laps. I love swimming in the ocean. I love, that kind of stuff where I'm like, I can pretend I'm swimming for my life from a shark or something. Like, I love that kind of swimming. But studies show that swimming is actually the best full body exercise you can do. It works basically every single muscle in your body, and it works your lungs. It works your breathing because you have to go in and out and everything. So water therapy is great. It's great. And yeah, I will be looking for your message in Messenger. When you go to meetings, we normally get the same gender sponsor or organization that holds meetings, have directors ask research on your area that has multiple programs, normally have resources to help. Mental health professionals normally can help as well. Amen. And I also 100%, especially if I'm not going to be around to see who somebody picks, I 100% not only suggest, but I want to tell you, like, pick somebody that is of the same sex as you. Personally, I have sponsored a few women through the steps. I actually was able to sponsor a girl down here in Colombia, and we did all of the steps in 3 days. And she had some incredible experiences, like met God during that time. And like, she's still in recovery. She's coming up on a year. And, we have to, in order to sponsor somebody of the opposite sex, we have to be in that real fit condition, that real fit understanding of who we are. And I wouldn't say that a very high percentage of people in the fellowships are at that state. So they do suggest stay with the same sex. So we're going to keep that. It's always good. Women work with women, men work with men. It is suggestion. Yep. Amen. And I've also met, if you meet a long timer, a male long timer that is just like all about the program. I know many men, long timer men, strong in the program, that sponsor women, because a lot of times, it is absolutely the best thing for that female, for that girl. So if you find somebody, if you can't find a female sponsor, just stay in contact with me as you're looking for a sponsor. Let's just find you a sponsor. Amen. Amen. All right. Awareness and goals. Number 2 is journaling. And journaling is a really powerful way of overcoming and combating and, staying aware of any kind of stress that we have, right? I've got, my journal every day here. I do different kinds of prompts. I've done different prompts through my recovery. I've been journaling for a long time in my life now. And, one of the things that you want to do is be able to track your goals also. If you have a goal for mental health, you want to improve your mental health, and then you come up with a journey on how to get there, on how you're going to improve your mental health. A daily journal, keeping how you're feeling, how you're thinking, what you're doing on a daily basis, how what you did that day affected the mental health that you have. That is like one of the best ways that you can continue to track and, keep doing the things that are working for you. Journaling is key. If you have a 30-day goal and you break it down to things that you have to do every day, if you just keep a journal of your thoughts every day, you're automatically going to be writing, about that goal, how you're moving towards that goal. And if you do even 2 minutes of goal setting per day, you are like 40% or 40 something percent more likely to achieve that short-term goal. So journaling is key. And one cool prompt, I learned this from The Artist's Way, this book, The Artist's Way, is keep a journal and a pen next to your bed. And right when you wake up, first thing you do is just write out, and you have to fill 3 pages of your journal. You have to fill 3 pages of your journal, no matter what you write. You're not allowed to just sit there and wait until thoughts come. You have to just like dump out everything that's in your mind right when you wake up. Because what that'll do is it'll clear that mind in order to go into the day without bringing, all that other stuff from yesterday, all that other stuff from, when you were asleep into the day. And then after you journal that, you'll be able to, do whatever other practice you have that we're about to talk about. And you can start filling your mind with things that you actually want to fill your mind with for the day. And that prompt is actually kind of hard, So if you're just starting on the journaling, if you're just about to start on the journaling process, just do this prompt. My thoughts, and just write, some thoughts for the day. And then 3 amazing things that could happen today. And 3 things I'm grateful for. And then 3 goals I'm working on. So it's the 3 threes. Write your thoughts out just so that you can record them, and you can come back to them later on, and you can like, I remember that day. Dude, I have journals from years ago that I'm able to go back and see where I was at. And when you have these journals, you really get to focus on the life that you want to build, not just letting life come at you on life's terms, which we do, but we're able to control parts of our life that we're in control of. It's just like the analogy of standing on the ground and you're inside of a hula hoop. Everything outside of that hula hoop, you're out of control of. You're not in control of anything out there. But everything inside of that hula hoop, everything here, you are in control of. And journaling will make it so that you can become aware of the things that you need to take back control of. I love journaling. Highly, highly recommend. Hop back in the comments. Amen. What if someone I'm dating and talking to that is a recovering addict as well as me, could we be one another's sponsors? No. And reason being is you're not going to be able to divulge things to that person that you need to be able to divulge, and you like to think that there are and things like that, but no. I'm just going to give that a hard no. I'm asking because I don't know 100%. And I get it. There's a lot of, and forgive us when, for laughing at it or whatever, because we've all been there. Everybody inside of the fellowship has made a bad choice of sponsor. Everyone in the fellowships has, and when I say everyone, I mean like a huge percentage of us. We've seen people that, get in relationships in order to recover, and they just work with that person. And then, the love falls out 3 or 4 months later, and then we never see him again. Or one of them comes back in 6 months after that, trying to find a recovery again. So the answer is no, but I'm really glad that you're here, and keep up with me in Messenger. I hope that the message will be there. I would not recommend it just because you may have something that comes up in the relationship, etc., or one might slip, and that can bring both partners down, making both recoveries separate and your recovery journey for you and his for him. Just a suggestion, I believe, would be healthier. 100%. I agree. Amen. We've seen it all up. It's okay. We have 100%. 100%. Okay, so journaling and now money management and credit building. Guys, this is huge for recovery. This is huge for recovery. We have to become aware and set goals financially and with our credit. We did a lot of damage to our financial life in our addictions. We spent everything we had to put stuff in our arms. Like, who does that? Addicts. That's it. And in our recovery, we have to take back control of this area. And when I say take control, I understand God is in control. I understand that. But God also gives us the power to take the actions to improve our life, period. We can't just say, oh, well, I'm giving that to God, and then not do anything about it. That doesn't work. We can give it to God and then take some action, and to do that, if you haven't done this before, or if you haven't done it in a while, go to freecreditreport.com just to become aware of where it's at. Become aware of any debts that you have or any creditors that are coming after you and things like that, just to become aware, And then something that I really, really enjoyed doing in my early recovery it was awesome. I started with a 421 credit score and $45,000 of debt. Every single week, I was tracking my credit and my debt. I was making payments off. I was calling creditors and getting it lowered and different things like that constantly. And every time I would get a little notification on my FICO or Credit Karma or whatever I was using at the time that my credit went up, it was like I was taking a hit of dope. Like, it's literally this reward for working on something, an area in our life that we've never been able to be in control of. But now I've got goals for it. Now I have a system for it. Now I have the direction that I'm going in that area of my life. And look at this. I'm achieving this. I'm watching this happen. I'm accomplishing this. And it gives us that reward system, and it helps our brains recovering from the damage that we did to our reward system, where we just shoot dope into our arms. Helps our brains rewire to be able to, really enjoy the true dopamine of life. The true dopamine of life comes from, activities and love and relationships and goals and accomplishing things and going after our dreams and making these things happen in our life. It creates the healthy dopamine that we actually need to survive. Dopamine isn't a negative thing. It just is when it's instant and put into our arms or our nose. So it's a really fun process to build your financial, future. It's a really fun process. And just becoming aware of where you're at is way better than saying, yeah, I'm not going there. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to talk about my financial because it's out of my control now. It is in your control, 100%. And yes, and I can tell you this so you guys know. But one of the large foundations I'm talking to about helping fund Recovered on Purpose, their sole mission is to help with this specifically, bringing this community out of the financial stress that we have. And we are talking about building something to where we're able to help everyone in recovery with this specific area as well. So keep that in your mind when it comes out. All of these courses and everything that I'm talking about that are launching, we're going to be doing them, monthly launches for the courses. There's going to be all kinds of courses that are taking us in recovery to a new level of life, being able to help other addicts out there suffering. We're going to be sharing our stories. We're going to be public about it. We're not going to be hiding in the darkness anymore as some other class of society, right? And we're going to be out there talking to the public. We're going to be sharing our stories on podcasts and doing all these things, but on a massive scale. And with doing that, we're going to attract so many addicts out there suffering to come into recovery because we're living that life. We are living that life that we always wanted to live. So that's where we're at. Okay, next one, exercise. We all know this. Exercise is literally directly correlated with mental health. Mental health is directly correlated with relapse, and physical health is directly correlated with stress that causes relapse. If you don't have an exercise habit down right now, number one, you just have to start with 4 days a week. 4 days a week, 25 minutes of aerobic exercise that gets you between 70 and 80% of your max heart rate. 25 minutes. That's it. 4 days a week. And your overall health, mental health, physical health, everything will improve drastically. If you're not exercising, you don't have an exercise routine down right now, get it happening. Get it happening. Become aware of it. Write down what you're actually doing right now, what you've done the last month for exercise, and then write down a goal. If you're not exercising yet, just start with 4 days a week, 25 minutes. Don't be like, I'm going to the gym 7 days a week for 3.5 hours and I'm going to bench 465 pounds in a month. No, just make a simple habit of 4 days a week, 25 minutes, keep it for a month, and watch how you feel. Watch the difference that happens this quick from exercise. Do it. Next one, nutrition. Nutrition. Focus on, what are you doing that you're putting in your body that is really, that's good or bad for you. There's a lot of ways that, they always say you are what you eat. It's 100% true. It's 100% true. Food causes mental illness. Food also causes mental health. If you've ever looked at nuts, like think of a walnut. What does a walnut look like? Looks like a brain. God created food, the healthy foods, the natural foods, and they even communicate with us for what part of our body they're for. Nuts are for the brain. Think about a beet. Have you ever seen a beet? Like an actual beet before it's like cut up and cooked and everything? What does it look like? A heart. It literally looks like an anatomical heart with arteries coming out of it and everything. Guess what the beet helps? The heart. Ribs of celery. They have the same structure as bones, the same type of molecular structure and sodium count and stuff as bones. And they break and sound like a bone. And it's called a rib of celery. Guess what celery is good for? Your bones. So just getting into, studying what's good for you and making small changes, saying, I'm not going to drink soda anymore. Or if I'm drinking 6 sodas a day, I'm going to switch 3 of them for water. I'm going to switch 3 of them for, carbonated water. I love carbonated water. Tastes good, feels good, makes me think like I'm, drinking something other than water, but also I'm drinking water. So cheers. All right. Mindfulness. Mindfulness means becoming present in the moment. This can mean meditation. Journaling helps with mindfulness. Prayer helps with mindfulness. And just being present in the moment. When you're walking down the street, become present of, the trees around you. That's a form of meditation. Just quieting your mind by looking at the things around you, looking at the things surrounding you as you're on a walk or as you're on a drive. Focus on driving, but notice things, become mindful of things. And this will actually reduce stress quickly. Mindfulness practice, carbonated water. But mindfulness practice is key. It is key. Almost everybody that's in long-term recovery will be able to tell you what they do for mindfulness specifically. Me, I love cold plunging. Cold plunging helps with all kinds of stuff, but number one is it helps me with my mindfulness because for 8 to 12 minutes I'm in 33-degree water and I gotta just focus. There is nothing else going on out here. And then once it starts to hurt, you know, and it's really cold, then all of a sudden I have to focus on, I'm somebody that does what I say. I'm somebody that does what I say. I'm somebody that does what I say. I said I'm going to be in here for 10 minutes today. So I don't get out until 10 minutes. That is mindfulness right there. That's working on the power of the mind. Okay. And then who can guess the last one I'm going to talk about? Who can guess the last one I'm going to talk about? So very true. By the way, if you are paying rent, you can have that report on time payments and boost your scores. I was at a 350. I'm now almost at a 300 within 3 years. It does feel amazing to watch your score climb. I lost everything, divorce, my finances in shambles, felony probation fees, and single mom. It's truly awesome. And you do feel amazing that you are working on the past to clean it up. 100%. 100%. I'm not. Yeah, I know. Adam, you're killing me, Smalls. Exercise and nutrition, my fall short. Hey, Jessica, if that's the message you're hearing, then that's the message for you, girl. We all have different parts of this that we need to work on. And here's the thing, when it comes to exercise and nutrition, do it small pieces at a time. Become aware of what you're doing right now. If you're not exercising at all, write it down, and then write down what you ate that you can remember yesterday and today. Write down everything that you ate. And then when you look at that, obviously you can add in an exercise routine, something, you know, even if it means you're waking up 30 minutes earlier, 30 minutes, and you have your phone with the alarm somewhere where you have to get out of bed, like somewhere in the room where you have to get out of the bed, and you turn it on for 30 minutes earlier, and you have whatever you're going to wear to go on your walk right next to your phone. And then when you wake up, you go over to your phone to turn it off, you get dressed to go on a walk, and you walk right outside. Instantly, when you close the door to your house, your mindset will shift. You will feel better about yourself the first day. The key is do it the second day, then do it the third day, then do it the fourth day. And when you have those 4 days a week where you literally get up and you do this, you know, your whole life will change. You become that person that does what's good for them. You do what you say you're going to do. And that will start going into every area of life. Love it and love you. Love you, Vanessa. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your knowledge, brother. Facts. Okay, we have one more, and it's spiritual connection. I left the best for last. Spiritual connection is 100% the key to long-term recovery. I would not be anywhere in my life right now if it weren't for God. I wouldn't feel safe if it wasn't for God. I wouldn't feel hopeful if it wasn't for God. And it's also something that I am consistently working on improving, right? There's different practices for spiritual connection. There's meditation, there's breath work, there's Bible reading, there's, you know, journaling, these different things. I write little letters to God, like, dear God, you know, and these kind of practices help us to not feel alone. They help us to, you know that everything's going to be okay. Like, everything's going to be okay. And nothing going on right now is worth using over. 100%. And I can tell you that as someone that has 5 years, 2 months, and 28 days of recovery, I've been through some stuff in my recovery. And just the fact that I didn't use and I didn't drink has helped me get to this point. But on top of that, being the person that works on improving even through the dark times has made me somebody that, you know, is able to overcome the hard times. And when the hard times come, and they're inevitable to come in your recovery, they're inevitable. Become the person that doesn't let anything stop you. Nothing's going to stop you. When you write down, you're going to wake up in the morning, you're going to go on that walk. When something happens the night before and somebody calls you and tells you about this drama and everything, and it makes you, you know, when you wake up in the morning, I don't really feel like walking. Be the person that gets up and walks anyway. Be the person that tells your mind, you're not in control, I am. Because you're not your mind. You're the one observing it. I love you guys so much. Love you, love you, love you. Hop in here. Love you too, brother. The serenity prayer helps me get through each day. Amen. I say it multiple times a day when I'm stressed and overwhelmed. Amen. Let's close out with the serenity prayer. Let's close out with the serenity prayer. God. Oh my gosh. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Love you guys. Enjoy the weekend, and don't miss tomorrow's show. I don't know if you guys saw the episode that's happening tomorrow, but it's going to be awesome. Keep living, recovered on purpose.